Welcome to Uncopyable Women in Sales. If you're looking for actionable insights and real-world tools to turbocharge your sales starting tomorrow, well, you're in the right place. Your host, Kay Miller, earned the affectionate nickname Muffler Mama when she sold more automotive mufflers than anyone else in the world. In this podcast, Kay will talk to another superstar woman in sales as they reveal uncopyable strategies you can use to rack up more leads, snag dream clients, and take your sales numbers through the roof. Stay tuned and get ready to make more sales and how about this? More money.
I'm very excited about today's guest, Kindsey Haynes. Kindsey is the Chief Marketing Officer of Kirkham Iron Tech and has extensive experience in the information technology world as well as sales and management. She's passionate about educating the world on cybersecurity and the risks organizations face. Kindsey graduated with a degree in business administration from the University of Arkansas. She now lives in Honolulu, Hawaii, which I happen to know she takes full advantage of. Kindsey Haynes, I love this girl. We met not that long ago. 2020 is when you started with Kirkham, right?
Yes.
And tell us how that all started.
Yeah. So it was my last semester of college, which was, I guess that was a winter of 2020, right before COVID hit. That January, well, I'd been looking for an internship my whole senior year and just hadn't found anything. I was doing like administrative accounting work at a local oil and gas company. I was not loving it. It was nothing to do. Yeah, I honestly was not a fan. But I was constantly checking the university website for openings, and I found an internship for a company called Kirkham IT, based out of Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is where I'm originally from. And it was just, this technology company, simple, plain marketing internship. And I'm like, okay, this would be a good starting point, kind of get my foot in the door, learn some real world marketing. And so I went ahead and applied, got the interview. And I remember walking into the Kirkham IT office. And of course, like a couple people walked up to me and I'm like, yeah, I'm here for an interview. And they put me in the conference room and sat down was Tom Kirkham, our CEO and founder. And of course, I didn't know who he was at the moment. And he introduced himself. We sat down, got to chatting, and he's like, you seem perfect for the job. Like, he hired me right there on the spot. And yeah, it was, I was in my last semester of college, for marketing. I was getting my bachelor's in marketing. And at that point, when I took that job, had no idea what I was getting into. Right then, Tom handed me over a couple books, and one was Steve's book, Uncopyable. And I don't know what year that came out. I'm not really sure. You'll have to.
Oh, that's been a while. I don't know, like 2017, maybe.
Okay. So it was a couple years old when Tom had me read it. Mm-hmm. And he handed me that book. He handed me, I think it's called No BS Marketing by Dan Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And then he handed me over an Ogilvy book on advertising. And I took all three home. I think I had like a week before I started, and he was like, read them. And I sat down, I read them, I took notes. I had my little notebook, and I was just writing down as much as I could because I hadn't read a marketing or sales book before that point. I had my textbooks for school, and I sat in these college classes and all of that, but these books, it kind of put everything to perspective for me, and it made everything click. And I started like the next couple weeks, and of course it was right before COVID hit, so I was in office. And I worked one-on-one with our CEO and founder, Tom, who is amazing and is a marketing guru himself, you could say. He's really done his best to immerse his knowledge in marketing and learn as much as he can in sales and all of that. And so he just kind of threw all of that onto me. And fast forward to March of 2020, 3 months down the road, I was 3 months into my internship and COVID hits. College classes, they're done. We don't know what's happening. They're like, oh, we'll just be out for 2 weeks, go home. You'll do your schoolwork from home. The professors didn't know what was happening. They didn't know how to run online classes. It was kind of a mess. And Tom was like, well, you just want to go ahead and go full time. I'm like, okay, why not? I'm working from home, I don't have class anymore. So I go ahead and go full time right then in March. And that's when Kay, you started the Coffee with Kay. I think it was that March, if not
Right.
April.
Right. That's our mastermind that you were a part of for 3 years. And
Yeah.
that
And
was
it was great.
awesome.
Yeah. And just, it's been, I guess it's 2023 now, July of 2023, which is crazy. So I've been working for the company for 3 years now. Now we're Kirkham Iron Tech. We had 2 divisions, Kirkham IT, Iron Tech Security. Now we have Kirkham Iron Tech, and we do cybersecurity for businesses of all sizes and outsourced IT. So if you need, anything IT wise for your company, that's something that we can take care of. So
can help. And I'll have those links with this interview so anybody can find you. And I have to throw in a couple editorial comments. One is that you're right. Tom is very impressive, very smart dude, really has immersed himself in marketing.
Yes.
Now I know you are now in charge of marketing and sales.
Yes.
But Tom considers you such a find. He tells me all the time, I am so lucky that I found Kindsey. And you have really taken this company and really grown it. And so, I do want to talk a little bit about, some of the things that you've done to grow this company.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, there wasn't really anyone doing marketing except for Tom when I first started. So they're doing direct mail pieces here and there. That was some of the first things he had me do was we'd print letters and send them out to our list. And Tom was also doing in-person speaking events. And with COVID, everything went online. And so I remember us doing our first webinar. I think it was for the Arkansas Rural Water Association or someone like that, a local association where we could present to their members. And we immediately kind of realized we're going to have to switch how we're doing things just because of COVID. I mean, it changed a lot for everyone. And so we immediately started just doing webinars all the time. And we got in a good little flow of things doing that. And of course, I was doing other things too, other than webinars, like direct mail and the email marketing, social media. But webinars have kind of been our main thing the last 3 years.
Mainstay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so not only are we doing these in-house, where we host it, we promote it, we do all the work for it. We're also doing these webinars for, like I mentioned earlier, associations. You could also, I guess, say it's more of a networking thing. We are, working with people that work with our ideal client, our moose that you
and we better stop for a second and just explain
the moose.
The word moose. And in our mastermind, I just got such a kick out of it because whenever someone would talk about something that they wanted to try or, what they wanted to say in their messaging, it would always come up. Who's your moose? Who's your moose? That is your ideal target. And you actually had one particular moose in the beginning, and I'd love to hear how you evaluated the fact that really wasn't the best moose.
Yeah. So when I first started, our moose was rural water utilities. And so that was who we were focusing all of our marketing on. That was, we were focusing our website content on that, all of our blog posts, email marketing, the webinars we were doing. We were working with the rural water associations, doing whatever we could to get in front of these rural water utility guys. And Tom had chose this target audience before I'd even started. And I think he chose them more so because they have the need. It's all marketing is all about, and sales is all about finding, what's their pain point? How can you fix it? What problem can you solve for these guys? And these rural water utilities have a very big problem that we can solve. I want to say for a whole year from when I started, all we did was focus on these guys. And I mean, they were our moose. So everything we did was revolved around these guys, but no one was buying. And we couldn't really, it took us a second to figure out why. Like, we're doing all this, our education, it's not even salesy. It's good information that they need to know to make that informed decision. And we were kind of that thought leader in the industry too. Everyone knew who we were, but no one was buying. They'd schedule a meeting with my sales guy, but then not, move forward with it. And so we were kind of starting to see, okay, this is an issue. We can't keep moving like this, or we're not going to grow as a business. That's for sure. Because we just weren't seeing any results. And we realized that the moose, the market, the rural water utilities, it's an older generation. I can't remember the statistic. It was so long ago when I looked at it, but it was like 3/4 or something of people working in the rural water utility industry are about to retire. So it is they're an older generation of people that have a harder time accepting technology and accepting change, especially with technology. It's scary to them. I mean, I'm sure their first iPhone or whatever, they had to have help, to how to learn how to use it. And a lot of people just struggle. So we were like, okay, let's switch this up. We looked at our list of clients. We have some really good law firm clients that we've had for a really long time. We're like, let's just dip our toes into the water, kind of doing the same thing we're doing for rural water, but with the law associations and the legal industry. How can we get our foot in the door with them? And we did the exact same thing and then started seeing results. We were doing the webinars, but for the law associations, the bar associations. We started doing a podcast. Our CEO and founder would I'd pick a list, kind of a hit list, I'd call it, of these legal podcasts that we had lawyers listening to. And Tom got on a couple of them. I'd reach out and just say, hey, we're an expert in the industry for lawyers. Let's partner up and see how we can help your listeners. And so we started doing different things like that, and it worked. So we've done the exact same thing for other industries.
So you're defining your moose as an industry, and you can have more than one, but each of those is a particular moose. Like you said, right. You have your messaging for that moose. And so I just want to clarify, when you do the webinars, I know you make an offer.
Yeah.
And that's what, why don't you explain that? Because that's what drives people to your sales guy, and he closes the deal. So
we've spent a lot of time in crafting the message of the webinar itself, because usually it's an hour long. We want the member, the participant of the webinar, our moose, to be ready to set a meeting with our sales guy after the end of that hour-long webinar. So we want them to be sure enough about us and our company, trust us enough, build enough rapport throughout that webinar for them just to go ahead and go to that calendar and book some time. And so the whole thing's educational. And at the very end, what we have is our contact information. There for a bit, we were putting the direct calendar link, but we realized with some of these guys, we don't even really need a meeting. It can be a simple phone call, kind of take an order kind of thing. Wow. And there's really no need for a very big, assessment. It all depends on the size of the business, of course. And we do state that.
Today's podcast is sponsored by the acclaimed book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets, How to Create an Unfair Advantage and Outsell Your Competition by Kay Miller. Put the secrets in this book to work, and you'll make more sales, grow your network, and become a top earner. See the show notes or go to Amazon.com and search for Uncopyable Sales Secrets to order the book right now.
Yeah. I think... Oh, now I just lost my train of thought. I was going to try to interject something, but now I can't remember. Okay. But I was going to say that that is content marketing. What you're doing, you're giving value up front, which is definitely what I recommend. And then the moose that see the need and that want to contact you raise their hand. We talk about the moose that raises their hand. And then you've got really a qualified prospect. And so it really simplifies the process for your salesperson. So all that upfront work really pays off. And those webinars, those are great. And I know Tom speaks. I didn't realize that he was, that you're finding podcasts for him to be on, but that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about where you find leads, and maybe you want to talk about LinkedIn and something else that you use that I learned from you.
Yeah. So LinkedIn, something that we've kind of we've been using it for a while. The way we've been doing a couple different things to get leads through LinkedIn lately. So when we do our webinars, we also put it as an event on LinkedIn. And we don't do LinkedIn Lives, but we put it as an event on there. So you can invite all of your connections that you have on LinkedIn, and they can accept that they're going to attend, or they can decline it. And what we do is, if we see that they've accepted but not actually signed up for it, we will send them a message on LinkedIn and just say, hey, we saw you register. We saw you said you were going to attend to our webinar, but we didn't see that you registered. Can we grab your phone number and your email, and we'll get you registered? So they don't even have to register themselves. We'll do it for them. And so I have my intern go through and just message the people that have marked that they're going to attend. And a lot of we have a very good conversion rate on the people that do give us their contact info. The majority of them do show up to the webinar. And then we have had quite a few of those guys actually turn into clients. And of course, if I'm connecting with them on LinkedIn or their LinkedIn connection, for the most part, they're going to be a prospect. Not all are, but when I am adding people on LinkedIn, I want them to be a good prospect. Something else really cool with the whole webinar thing is you can repurpose that content. So if you go to our YouTube page, we have so much stuff on there. And there's a new little feature that I'm not sure if you know about it, Kay. You can actually, YouTube will turn your videos into podcasts now for you. And you don't even,
I didn't know that.
I didn't either until 2 weeks ago. Wow. And so we did a little deeper dive series, and I just went, and it was a simple click. And now they're a little podcast on our YouTube page. You can make clips out of your webinars. It's just a 2-3 minute little clip out of your webinar that you can, do different things with. So it's a great form of lead generation. And sometimes if we're working with the association, they'll give us a list and we can reach out, or they'll send out emails for us upon our behalf saying, hey, here's an ebook from Kirkham Iron Tech that did this presentation. Here's their contact info. We've kind of got to figure it out.
I know. And it's, your business has just exploded since 2020, coincidentally, when you came from the University of Arkansas. And you also have a very sophisticated automated follow-up email system, don't you?
Yeah, we recently switched CRMs. So stuff has changed a little bit, but they were called automations in my last email platform, and now they're called journeys. And I don't have as much freedom with the CRM. It sucks, but I do follow up always. And I have it set to where, for example, if someone does attend one of our in-house webinars, I'll make it to where they're added to the list, and then it automatically sets a task for my sales guy to give them a call and say, hey, I saw you just came to our webinar yesterday. What'd you think? Do you have any questions? How is your current IT right now? Do you need any help? Stuff like that. And it's just, we have that follow-up in place, and it doesn't take much work to set up that automatic part of it, but it also kind of just depends on the platform you're using.
And again, you talk about an ebook, so you're providing value up front. And, my book that you've read my sales book too, but sales and marketing are so related. Marketing is getting your message out, providing content that will resonate with your moose, getting them to raise your hand, and then, then that makes the sale that much easier. So this is really integrated in what you do. And it's a great example of that. You had resource where you could actually get people's phone numbers.
Oh, yes.
What is that?
Seamless AI, seamless.ai.
So it's
And
Seamless, SEAM, right? Seamless.
yes. And then there's another one that's similar that we've actually been evaluating. It's called uplead.com, UPLEAD. And it's a similar platform. And we're trying to kind of figure out, we're evaluating right now. We're switching up vendors and stuff. But Seamless and Uplead, if you ever have like one single contact that you cannot find their phone number anywhere, you can go into Seamless and search their first and last name or their company or however, like there's lots of different options you can put into the search fields, but it'll give you their email addresses, their personal email address, their work email address, their phone number, their cell phone number, their physical address, if you want to send them a postcard or anything like that. And then you can do a mass search. So for example, like my Moose, let's do like law firms, more than 10 employees, bringing in more than $1 million in revenue a year. And I only want managing partners, CEOs, owners, CTOs, CIOs. I want people in the C-suite. And then I want them in the US, only United States. And then I'm trying to think what other filters I usually do. I think
But you've really drilled down. Yes, really drilled down.
Your moose has to be, you have to get it as close as you can. Like we know that if we bring in a company with less than 10 employees, we may not get the kind of revenue that we want, and it's not going to be worth our time closing that deal. That's something that we have switched in the past years. We used to bring on these smaller guys, and we can't keep doing that because it's taking up too much time or the support. It's just not worth our time of having them a client at that point. And so we've made this new role where it's like we've got 10 endpoints or higher, and we know that we have more opportunity even in the future.
Right. And, and going back to the Moose, and when I was in sales and, I won the #1 sales award for mufflers, selling mufflers.
Right.
But strategy was such a part of that, because when you want more numbers, whether you're working on commission or you're a business owner or, any kind of sales, you want more sales, and a lot of it is strategy. So we always say, start with your Moose.
Yep.
And the better that you know them, the more resources you can spend on tracking them down and converting them to a sale. So you've been very smart about really drilling down on your Moose and offering some great content. Yeah. Early on, I said that Tom feels very lucky to have found you, and he is very lucky. You are so sharp. In our coffee mastermind, you shared so much powerful information with the group. But Kindsey, you're also a little bit lucky to work for Tom.
Yes.
And why would I say that?
Working from home has been quite nice. I was able to leave Arkansas. See, it was June of 2021. So over 2 years ago now, I moved out to Honolulu, Hawaii, and I'm still here. Haven't left.
And enjoying the heck out of life.
Yes.
I mean, I'm so jealous. I can see that you're having so much fun, but you work really hard. I know, especially because of the time zone. You work early, and then but the good news is you get off early and you go to the beach.
Yep, I do. Yep. Start about 5 a.m. my time, which is 10 a.m. Arkansas time. Still a little bit late, but and then I work 10-hour days. So I'm off at 3 o'clock my time. And it's a pretty good gig.
It is. And it's work hard and play hard, but again, your results speak for themselves. If you were not creating those results, you wouldn't be able to do it. But you're also disciplined, to get up and work starting at 5. Take some discipline.
Yeah.
And, success in sales or anything else, it does take discipline. I will ask you one couple last things. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about AI. And then if you have some piece of advice for other women that are in, either sales or marketing, what it would be. So AI is just, oh my gosh, the huge, huge buzz term, and we're hearing it everywhere. And cybersecurity is kind of a scary part of that. But until it destroys the world, you can use it, right?
Yes, and you should. And you should. I mean, it's one of those things, if you're not using it, you're going to fall behind the times. You got to keep up.
So what are some of the ways that you use it?
Yeah. So recently we've been using it to help us create direct mail, like our sales letters. It's super neat because you can type into the AI or ChatGPT or Jasper, whatever you're using. You can type in, write a sales letter on cybersecurity to business owners, using the writing style of Ogilvy. And it's able to do that. We've got one of the best writers out here, and you're able to write in that style, and it does it. And
it's amazing.
Good.
It's scary amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you do some tweaking to that, right? Yeah.
You got to personalize it. And at the end of the day, I was having this conversation actually yesterday with someone, and she asked, are you scared that AI is going to take over your job and as a marketer? And I'm like, no, because the AI doesn't know who my moose is, and there has to be a person behind the AI to let them know like who the moose is. AI doesn't know I want to target law firms, and I have to tell it. So no, I'm not like worried about losing my job. I don't think marketers should be worried, because you still have to have that human interaction behind it.
Right. It frees up time. And, as a writer, we both know that staring at a blank page, it makes it so hard to write.
I know.
And for salespeople, even, to write an email, and if they're not very, good with grammar or writing, you can start with AI and then, just edit it, which is a million times easier.
Yeah, so, I've been very impressed with it. It's been a game changer, absolute game changer.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, businesses who are not using AI, or marketers, salespeople, you're falling behind your competition who is using it. So, I think some of us want to keep our heads in the sand, bury our heads in the sand, but this is a huge opportunity. So no surprise that you're using it. So, so I wanted to close with a question about what advice, if any, would you give to someone in your position? And I have one piece of advice I think you're going to give, and that is to keep learning.
Yeah.
Read books.
Yeah. Keep learning that's a big thing. One thing I've learned from Tom, one of the first things I learned from him that will probably stick with me the rest of my life, is that only you can really educate yourself at the end of the day. Especially once you're out of school, no one's forcing you to learn anything, and you have to be the one to read those articles or watch those videos or listen to those podcasts to constantly build your tools in your toolbox, because we have all these great experts in this world that we can learn from. There's so many amazing smart people out there, and you just have to push yourself to actually go out and learn it. It's hard sometimes when you are working and doing this and this and this, and the world's crazy, life is crazy, but yeah, you constantly got to educate yourself. But if I had to give one piece of advice, I'd just say get out of your comfort zone. I know when I first started, that was one thing. I was like scared to send emails to my list, and I was like scared to post on social media too much, and I was scared to use like emojis in an email or anything like that. And now it's like, no. I'm sending out stuff all the time, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to.
That is great advice. Really good advice. And like you said, once you do it, it gets easier. So it's hard in the beginning. Yeah. And of course, whenever you're afraid to do something, you can build momentum. And the only way to do that is by doing. So it's sometimes a little painful, but the reward is huge, and you're a great example of that. Kindsey, thank you so much for being on my podcast and enlightening not only the listeners, but me too. I always learn something from you. And even though I, in a way, see myself as a mentor to you, I see you as a mentor to me. So
Aw.
I really appreciate our relationship, and it's grown into a friendship. So
Really
I
has.
really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'll have fun at the beach.
Yeah, thank you, Kay. It was so great speaking with you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncopyable Women in Sales, your source for secrets you can use to make more sales. Check the show notes for links and contact information. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please spread the word by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. You can always learn more by going to uncopyablesales.com/podcast. Until next time, go out and supercharge your sales like a true uncopyable rock star.